let's talk about the factions in the game.
Just to be clear, I'm not throwing shade.
Look, because it's in the light of God, okay, Brian?
Yeah. One sub-faction that I will call out because it's perfect if you love the hobby.
Let's discuss a bit how you might go about building your first list.
I have unfortunately lost players in my community because of that. It's like Trench Crusade, Noise Marines.
Welcome back to In the Trenches, our Trench Crusade talk show where we discuss all things Trench Crusade.
Yes.
My name is Adrian, and of course I'm joined by Trench Bryan.
I'm back again.
It's so exciting to have this finally on way. We can take some time, sit down, chat Trench Crusade.
It's great.
It's great.
Yes.
Of course, as always, folks, if you are interested in more Trench Crusade content, go ahead and like, subscribe, and leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you're working on. We're very curious, and of course, it really helps us grow as the channel is still relatively new. Today, what we're going to be doing is talking about how to get into Trench Crusade, whether you are already just getting going, or maybe you're curious and you haven't quite dipped your toes in together. There's a lot of questions, and we can kind of give you a bit of a jump start, maybe a bit of advice, and talk about our own personal preferences.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you guys have any questions, or let us know, and maybe we'll get you on the next video.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, before we dive on in, we do like to talk about new things that are happening in the world of Trench Crusade. There's a lot of cool things going on. As always, if you have projects or things that are in the works, go ahead and send us an email at the email link down below, and we'll see if we can share it. We probably can't share everything because we do get a lot, and I really, really appreciate everyone reaching out. It means a ton. But let's talk about a few. First off, I do want to give a shout out to Vasilios Milios, who is a really cool composer on YouTube that has a full playlist of Trench Crusade music.
It's pretty good. He showed me like 5 seconds of it, or let me listen to it. I'm like, okay, yeah, this slaps. This goes hard. I'm like, yeah.
It's like perfect, and he's got like different tracks for different factions.
Yeah.
We are working on actually getting into future battle reports as music and all that stuff. So it perfectly sets the tone if you're looking to roll dice with your friends, put that on in the background.
So metal.
It's literally it's super metal. Like it's so perfect for the environment.
Orchestral like death chants and things. I'm like, I'm here for it. Yeah.
It's amazing. So really cool project. Definitely go ahead and check it out. We'll put a link in the description down below. The next up, we want to talk about KzK Miniatures, who has a Kickstarter going on right now, actually, for a Sultanate, kind of alternate sculpts, different models, different faction.
Looks pretty rad. I see some of them that are actually like mounted on the Lions of Jabir, which you see in some of the artwork, like the Azeb like scouting parties. It's almost got like a Hun, kind of like the way they got the fur lined hats to them.
Absolutely.
So, that's rad.
And I really like how it has a really strong opinion.
Yeah.
I think with things like the open license, there are sometimes people that are just taking the super low-hanging fruit of just copy pasta. But it's cool to see projects like this where they're taking their own interpretation off of an idea or a piece of artwork or an inspiration and really developing kind of some original work from it. So it's cool, honestly. We'll have to check it out, get some printed. As of recording, it is still in the sort of Kickstarter, My Mini Factories version of Kickstarter. So you can go ahead and check it out. We'll also include that in the link down below. It's cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then last of all, Kongclave Miniatures, a creator I've just discovered, has a really cool Patreon. They are a sculptor, and I actually discovered them through their December Patreon benefit, which is this really cool Father Winter style trench cleric, along with a really cute trench dog with these like little reindeer antlers.
Right?
And I was like, wow, it's a really nice, clean, and fun sculpt. Checked out the rest of the stuff they have going on. There's some really nice stuff in there.
We may have to use that for like a holiday mission. It's probably gonna
we need to have that like a holiday episode. Come on.
There's gonna be a tree. There's gonna be Krampus. We'll figure it out.
Ideas for the holiday episode in the comments.
Yes, please.
So check it out. Just a cool creator that we discovered. Again, if you have Trench Crusade projects in the works and want to send them over our way, link in the video right here.
Yeah, please. There.
We want it.
Yes.
All right, Brian, let's dive into the topic of the day, Trench Crusade.
Getting into Trench Crusade.
Yeah.
So just kind of an overview. We kind of got a bunch of broad topics. I think we should probably start with what is Trench Crusade?
What is Trench Crusade?
Yeah. So just very broad strokes is just kind of it's a skirmish-sized miniature game. So you don't need like big armies like you see with some other games. It's set in a very grim, dark, like alternate timeline, kind of around World War I. The premise is basically like way back when, like the knights, when they were traveling to like the holy city, they found this like ancient evil artifact in this spooky vault and started talking to them and telling them like dark insights, and ultimately they succumbed to the evil whispers, started doing some bad things, and a gate to hell opened.
Oops. Uh-oh.
So, yeah, that was pretty bad. And Europe and Africa, they've just been fighting ever since. And for like centuries, there's just this brutal stalemate that's existed in the region.
The forces of heaven and hell, and it's sort of an alternative history of what would happen if 800 years ago we accidentally or intentionally opened a door to hell. And it's got that really fun sort of diesel punk kind of aesthetic with a very dark, gothic, sort of demonic overtones to it, right?
Yeah. It's the art style is very striking. So you got people with like gas masks and like bolt action rifles and bayonets, but you also have that dark like fantasy element where they're like literally like fighting off demons from hell.
Yes.
There's like creepy like magic and like just fanatics of all different faiths. So it's a very kind of dark setting. I definitely feel like it calls to a lot of like old Warhammer players. Like I've seen a lot of crossovers that have kind of used to like that 3-point art from like Karl Kapinski or whatever. Just kind of like that more darker style. This like leans into it unapologetically.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's super grim dark. You know, there's nobody's nice here.
No.
And horrible things are happening all the time.
Yeah.
But it also leans to a bit of a sort of dark humor with a wink, which we really appreciate and we tend to lean into on the channel.
We do a lot, yeah.
You know, because it's easy to sort of like put it in a corner and be like, super mega grim, dark setting, which it can be that if that's what you're into, but it actually isn't. And when you talk to the creators, like it has that kind of air of dark humor on top of it and creative expression, right? That's really a big part of the core of this is storytelling. And that is a big difference from many other war games, which are more based around maybe playing competitively, about trying to tactically win a game, things like that. Trench Crusade, at its core, is a game about telling a narrative story together. And that informs everything from the ground up. The game design, the lore, the world, everything is built as a platform to tell stories in.
Especially with the campaign system, which we'll kind of touch on a little bit. But it's not... You can play one-off games, absolutely, but I think the game is at its best when you're playing the campaign system, because then you're having the progressions, your characters are evolving and growing, or losing eyes that are getting severe nerve damage.
It's great.
But yeah, no, it's a very cool setting. I've had lots of people when doing demos for the Bay Area Trench Crusade community, and it's like they've never played a miniature game before, but they've seen the art and they're like, I need to know more about this.
That's wild.
Like a lot of people's first miniature games, which is awesome.
Yeah, we had a huge explosion, especially over the last year, of course, with the Kickstarter. So there's been a lot of interest in it. Which is potentially how you found this video yourself. You know? So
let us know how you found this video.
Yeah, actually, I'd be genuinely curious.
I am, kind of curious, because people do come from all kinds of backgrounds. I've had a lot of people from like Dungeons and Dragons, for example. Like that was their introduction to gaming, and they're just like, I just want something story-oriented, which Trench Crusade does really well.
Yeah, it's been interesting talking to people about what we're doing here. You know, used to describing my work, but when they talk about like our Trench Crusade projects that we've done already, I'll describe it and they'll be like, wow, that sounds a lot like D&D. And I'm like, yeah, actually,
essentially,
it's a lot closer to D&D than it is like a war game.
A lot of the missions that I write is almost exactly how I write missions or like adventures for Dungeons and Dragons. Like I'll create the setting in the world and then I'll create a scenario within the context of that. So
exactly,
it's very fun. And kind of speaking about context, just to touch on the setting really quick, this is very great. The scope of the war is massive and huge, but actually how you interact with the world is through these like smaller units called war bands, which are fighting over no man's land, and that's essentially like the stalemate ground between the two forces. So you have these like super like desperate or like elite units going in for different reasons to like scavenge relics, find food to survive the winter, all sorts of different reasons. So it's really the world is your oyster as far as the story you want to tell.
It really is. Like you start, if you're running a campaign, for example, you start at kind of the lowliest, the low. You're not going to get everything you want. You're going to try to work your way up the ranks. You know, each battle you win, you're going to be able to get more ducats and get upgrades. You might suffer injuries and things like that. But there's this sort of idea of progression and struggle and celebrating the struggle as well, right? The game is very, very harsh. The biggest, toughest guy can die to a random shot from the lowliest warrior if they just get lucky or unlucky, depending on your perspective. Which is something to note when you're getting into it. You know, like that is going to happen. And you kind of lean into it.
It makes for really memorable moments. Like we still have stories that we laugh about all the time of how like my mighty praetor of hell was fouled by some guy with a BB gun, and he's just like shell shocked from the experience, and he just can't get on the battlefield anymore. Because he's haunted by that BB gun. Like this is stuff that it makes it so worth playing.
I love it, and I encourage you to definitely like lean into that aspect of it when you're playing.
For sure.
So yeah, very much like a zoomed in aspect of this ultimately really epic kind of macro story that's going on.
Yeah, it's good too because it's just the very personal stories. It gives you a lot of room to play with your characters and your faction identity. Whereas like I think in kind of the larger abstract of like that large scale, when you have hundreds and hundreds of guys, it can be a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, and it kind of comes back to the concept of like my concern with grim dark environments is always like when it's so grim dark, why do I care about anything?
Yeah.
Which is it's always a struggle, but like here it's like, well, your problems that your warband deals with are so personal to your warband, and it sort of like brings it down to just like a human level of like they're just trying to survive, whether they're good guys or bad guys or whatever, and it sort of easily introduces these little story arcs from moment to moment.
We'll definitely touch on that, especially when you go over some of the human warbands, like Antioch, for example, is just like a really good example of the human struggle in like such a terrible world.
Yeah,
we'll touch on that. We'll touch on that.
Exactly.
So maybe we should move on to your next talking point, why you should consider playing. If we haven't convinced you already,
I know,
that doesn't sound rad enough. Yeah.
So I think one of the most appealing things for people who start off in Trench Crusade is the fact that it is easy to start off.
Yes.
It is a low model count game.
Yep.
You can start with 6, 7 models and have it be totally fine. So that is the kind of models. Sorry, that's the numbers. That is going to be the numbers that's like less than a squad on like a larger war game.
Yeah.
And so the barrier to entry is so much smaller.
Rules are even available for free online. Factoryfortress.com. Is that right?
You can find rules online at trenchcrusade.com.
Trenchcrusade.com. There we go.
Yep. Which is great. So it's very accessible. You can go read them up, see what you like. And you can get playing very, very quickly. So honestly, that is one of the best things about it. And in a similar vein, you also play on a pretty small board. You can play on 3 foot by 3 foot or 4 foot by 4 foot. Yeah. So it's the kind of thing that you could actually fit on like a table that you have at home.
Yeah, it plays very well on a kitchen table. You can even go smaller. I do think it plays well with more terrain than less, but with a smaller board size, you can really get more bang for your buck with your terrain.
Absolutely.
For sure. Another thing I really like about it is it's an alternating activation miniature game, which means that both players are like constantly engaged. It's not just like, all right, I'm gonna sit here and let you punch me for the next hour.
Right.
It's you're planning out your next move, and maybe your opponent does something that you weren't expecting, and that just throws your whole plan out the window. You gotta like reassess on the fly.
Exactly.
It's a very good like back and forth like tempo-based game.
Even moment to moment, like we have the I go, you go, but like when your opponent is activating, you even have an interaction within that. You have things called blood markers.
Blood markers, yeah.
So without getting too much in the weeds, we mentioned you can die instantly because technically everyone just dies on one wound, right? Yeah. But the way that mechanic actually works is if you take a hit and you're not killed, you get blood markers, which then your opponent can use to either have an easier shot killing you next time, or they can mess up your actions.
Yeah.
So while you're trying to do different things across the battlefield, your opponent can be messing them up. So there's like so much interaction constantly between the two players. And nobody's just sitting in the corner for half an hour while the other person does their movement phase,
I do like those games also, just to be clear, I'm not throwing shade.
Look, they're great.
I enjoy me some heresy and stuff.
For sure.
It's A-okay, I'm not throwing shade. Different system.
Exactly, so never a dull moment for sure. Kind of building off of this idea of how accessible it is, this is also a model agnostic game, right?
It's so good if you love the hobby.
Right, oh my gosh, it's like highly encouraged, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this game has been around actually for a few years now. We've had rules, we have only recently really had fully official models with the Kickstarter in the last year. And so it comes from this idea of kit bashing, of using models that you have at home, of converting your own models, things like that. Partially out of necessity, but it's bloomed in this beautiful community where really you're encouraged to build whatever you want, make it look cool, tell these stories, and it's just really just scratches that hobby itch. That's like one of the reasons I started like playing miniatures in the first place.
I remember like kit bashing at it was like a Space Marine captain or whatever. I remember just like getting his own special chainsword and stuff. And it's like, that's my guy. And like I get to feel that with all my models in this game, and it's just like, it's a good feeling. It's
an absolute joy, and that is of course like an official stance of Trench Crusade is like you can go ahead and do whatever you want. Factory Fortress is cool with it. If you are a person who's not into kit bashing, they do have their own official models. You can get them in STLs, and they are starting to do plastic kits, and they're going to be doing that moving forward. So that's going to make it even more accessible. So, whatever kind of floats your boat, honestly, you're going to have options to all of it in the near future.
Yeah, if they can keep the quality of that Prussian kit, like,
oh my gosh,
they're going to do just fine.
It was great.
They're going to make a killing. Those kits are amazing. And they come with extra parts too, so you're going to have like bits you can trade with your friends for more kit bashing. But
that's going to be awesome. One thing I've really liked with my kit bashing is also weapons and accessories packs
Yeah.
that they provide with STLs. Those are an absolute gold mine because you can, you print up a bunch of weapons or have a friend print them up, and it just gives you so many converting opportunities.
Even just for terrain and bases too, you just scatter it all over.
Yeah.
It just really sets the narrative and the tone. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, definitely a great way to get started. Just find what inspires you, look through the factions, look through some art, and just think about what do you have just lying around at home that you weren't using that you can convert.
Right.
You know, it's great.
And then another great reason to play, we kind of touched on it a little bit in the intro, but the campaign system is really cool. So it's if you ever play like an escalation league, like your forces slowly grow, but there's also like your elites are gonna be getting like skills, so they're gonna be like better shots, better in melee, or like better leaders of their war bands.
Right.
They're gonna be getting injuries, so they're gonna be losing eyes, losing limbs, things are getting blown off. You're like exploring no man's land for like treasure. You're getting glory to like hire mercenaries and like be granted like powerful artifacts from your patrons and things like that. So it's really almost like a roguelike. If you play those games, like all your Trench Crusade campaigns, everyone you play is gonna be very different. Like,
Absolutely.
It's gonna be incredibly different.
Yep.
So it's a very unique experience every time through.
Yeah, if you are a fan of charts and
Yes.
building on charts and having things happen,
Oh yeah.
this is the game for you.
It's a good
Oh
one.
my goodness! And something to note is it's very fine grained too, right? You have your basic like unit. And sometimes we'll have required equipment, but largely you can buy whatever you want and you can put it on them. So you individually pay for pieces of armor, whether they're wearing a helmet to protect them from shrapnel or a gas mask to protect them from gas. You can exchange war gear between battles between your characters. And it's that fun level of sort of like granularity and tinkering that is, I don't know, really also scratches the kind of itch.
It is cool. I will advise people on the hobby side, do not worry about WYSIWYG. You guys are going to be changing weapons frequently throughout a campaign, so that way lies madness. As cool as it is.
It's an admirable goal, but it's just not the way that the game is played. So build them whatever looks cool, or if you really wanted to pick something, build them how you would build them for like a one-off game. And then don't stress about the rest.
You can always put backpacks on them and like stuff on there.
Yeah,
and say, like,
exactly.
The theater of the mind is like, oh, he's got his heavy flamethrower in there, and he just pulls it out. So
exactly. That's a good point, honestly, because when I had first started looking at it, I was like, okay, I want to make everything super WYSIWYG, and then as soon as we started, I was like, oh, this is not realistic.
I have unfortunately lost players in my community because of that, because they're super in the hobby and they get like kind of stressed out. I'm just like, dude, it's okay. You're gonna be fine. And the stuff looks amazing too. So please come back. I miss you.
You should come back. It's
come
great.
back. It's gonna be okay. What do you physically need to play Trench Crusade? Not that much. We touched upon it a little bit. Like 7 to 10 models. 10 models is, I think, the cap for the lowest
to start off.
value game. So you literally can't take more than 10. Dice, a tape measure, and a board, and the rules are free. And
it's just D6 dice, so you don't have to buy anything
D6s.
fancy. Although if you want, we have a link down below. Always good. It's really based off of just the fundamentals of if you want to play miniature war games. If you already play them, you might already have them. And if you are going to get into miniature war games, you'll need this across many systems. So it's very doable.
I would recommend smaller dice or a different color dice just to mark blood markers, because that's a very big part of the game. That's to represent like wounds on different models, because those will be jumping around a lot. You don't want to be sharing the dice that you're rolling with.
That's really smart, honestly. Terrain, it can be probably one of the toughest things for new players because one, it doesn't have as much carryover in other games as you might think, and two, people kind of get bogged down. I think we frankly we're going to do a lot of content around building boards and doing it cheaply and things like that.
I look forward to it.
There are lots of solutions. I will say, recommendation, as you mentioned, make dense boards. That's an easy way to have a feel bad for some person is if you have big shooting galleries.
Yes.
Density is good. You are fighting in the trenches.
Yes. It's not plain Crusade. Like flat, open.
Plain Crusade. Open Field Crusade.
Open Field Crusade doesn't ring quite as well off the tongue.
Exactly. But you can get like things like insulation foam to build trenches pretty cheaply. It doesn't have to be fancy foam.
No,
either.
just the negative space trench technique that you used for yours, which honestly I think looked better than mine. And probably took a quarter of the time. But it's a super. There's a lot of good tutorials out there, and we'll probably start working on some in the future.
Yeah, I think we'll have a full video on it. And you can get things like corrugated cardboard.
Yeah,
super cheap.
That's great for
looks like corrugated metal.
And
so for pennies, you can literally make this happen. So don't be overwhelmed. Also, don't be afraid to just play with what you have. Like it is not prescriptive at all. Like even what we're saying is just recommendations.
We've all played Warhammer with like boxes of crackers and cereal
Yeah,
and soup
exactly.
cans as terrain. Like, it's okay. Like, just start rolling dice and having fun.
It's the kind of game where perfect is the enemy of good.
Yes.
I see people have huge ambitions for their Trench Crusade projects or boards and things like that, and they get stuck in it. Just go out and do it. And you know what? You can do a better one after that, but just get out there and get playing. And don't get stuck in trying to do the perfect thing.
Don't get mired in the trench mud.
Ah,
There's something there. There's something there.
So yeah, I mean, that's all you need to get started. So check it out. So let's talk about the factions in the game and maybe talk a bit about the flavor, what might be interesting, and why you might want to play each of them.
Yeah.
There are 5 main factions. 6? No. There are 6 main factions in the game. They all have different sub-factions within them, so there's lots of customization. But yeah, there's 6 factions, and they all play quite differently. So there's a lot of different expression within them. You have some more human-y kind of factions, you have some more monstrous-y kind of factions, and of course you have factions that range on both sides of the war, whether it be heaven or hell. Now, we'll say anyone can fight anyone. Everyone's killing everyone in Trench Crusade.
Yeah.
So that makes it easy. You don't have to worry about, like, can this team fight this team or whatever. Nah, everyone's killing everyone.
No, it's all pretty bad.
Yeah,
It's not hard to create justification for these guys to be shooting at each other.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So let's start off with, in many ways, the poster boys for the game, which is, of course, New Antioch. This was a faction that drew me to the game, where I just saw the art and I was like, what is this? I need to know. They are just guys. They're regular humans. You might have seen some of the art where they have things like the cool knightly helms, but on top of more like World War I style gear and battle plate and things like that, but wielding like giant broadswords and things like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's very much in that aesthetic of the mix between sort of the medieval and the diesel. You know?
Yeah, you got the guys in the big, the machine armor. Like, they have to rely on, their engineering and, human tenacity to kind of save the day, because at the end of the day, they are just dudes. Like, they're just dudes in armor. And
it's got that appeal. It makes them difficult to play, right?
Yeah, that was the point of it. It's like, I get that it's the poster faction, but also expect to maybe have kind of a hard time initially, because they're a tricky one to factor, especially with like their fire teams. Like, they have these things called fire teams to represent like their military training, where you can kind of like do 2 activations at once. So usually it takes a bit for you to kind of figure out the tempo of the game. And Antioch, they are, again, kind of fragile because they're humans, but it's very rewarding when you do figure it out. I'm playing Antioch in our 2nd season, and I can't wait for my next game, because the first one was really fun.
Oh, it's so cool and such a fun hobby project. But yeah, so they're kind of about coordinated fire. You'll generally have more models than other factions, with the exception of, like, you'll have your couple of elite models in that with the heavy armor, things like that. Yeah. There's no giant centerpiece that's gonna suck up a bunch of your points, right?
No, like, you'll see like the Anchorite Shrine in like Pilgrims, or like the Desecrated Saint. They're not gonna have that, because again, they're just guys. Your machine heavy armor is about as close as you get, but their themeless, or like their specialists, are very cool, very all over the place, because it's just like the nature of Antioch. It's like this fortress city, this bastion that's like the first line of defense against like the Gate of Hell and like everyone pouring through. So like all the different like countries and like kingdoms and everything, they all like tie like volunteers, weapons, equipment. Everything goes to Antioch to like, so that they can fight the war over there and not at home. So because you have like all these like mass exoduses coming from different places, you get very different looking armies. So you have like Albia, you have
Prussians.
It's very popular. So there's like the opportunity is pretty big there for just like representing themes of different cultures in your war bands.
Yeah, and they really can heavily influence the way that you play, the way that you model your armies, things like that. Oh, Red Brigade, in fact.
Red Brigade,
one of the only non-Factory Fortress official war bands, which is really cool. So, New Antioch, very cool if you're into knights and regular folk fighting against the atrocities of hell. That's the faction for you.
Very brave people, very brave. Next up of our factions, we have Trench Pilgrims. Now, these are also humans. However, they are like fanatics and like broken people. These are people that have received visions or have been like communicated through like heaven's messengers, and like they're a little loose up there because of it. Like, everyone is a little unstable because of that.
because they've seen the light of God, okay, bro? You just don't understand.
It's a little unsettling.
You don't understand.
So it's like they're not officially like ordained by the church, but also they're not discouraging them, because like when you see like a mob of just like shirtless rabble like running, screaming mad at the enemy, like you don't stop them either.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah,
it's just these like unhinged folk who are going on this pilgrimage to the trenches, you know, and they're gonna go do what they do.
Yeah, they have. I think they play kind of more like an aggressive playstyle. They kind of like to get up front, but they do have some good ranged options as well, like the punt gun.
Oh, the classic punt gun. Yep.
Yeah.
And they have, I think, again, there's two pieces of artwork that many people have kind of brought into Trench Crusade. One, as I mentioned, was kind of the Antioch things, but also the Anchorite Shrine is so iconic. This is this giant golem dreadnought sort of being in heavy armor. Big machine-style armor that looks like a walking church.
Yeah.
Amazing model, incredible art by Mike.
Yeah.
And it's a reason to play the game. It's a reason to play the faction, right? It plays very centrally. It's very durable. We mentioned that everyone dies with one hit. Well, there's an exception. You can have this thing called the tough keyword, which means if you die the first time, you don't die. It takes 2 hits.
It's an out-of-jail-free card once.
Yep. And that's something that actually this faction does really well, especially in the early game. This is why it's a bit more forgiving than something like Antioch. And you can really center things around the shrine. It's just so fun. You have the Catherine wheel.
You can put a guy on the wheel for an extra little mini tough. Like he blocks a shot. Basically, like people volunteer to be broken upon the wheel of the Anchorite, and then they have to get through the guy on the wheel before they can start attacking the Anchorite. It's pretty.
And you have to actually take someone from your warband and like sacrifice them by putting them on the wheel. Like you pay for them, and then that's it. You know. So it's so flavorful.
I love too because it really leans into their style of just they're using like this old like scrap weaponry. Like these are all like very old pieces of equipment. Like Antioch have moved beyond that when they've invented like their heavy machine armor. They're like, we don't want to use those Anchorite shrines anymore. Those things are kind of a pain in the butt.
Oh, and it does horrible things. The person inside.
Yeah, there's a dude inside there. He's like controlling it with like hooks and stuff, so he could like sympathize with like the Lord's sacrifice. Like it's brutal, man. It's a very brutal setting, but this is
so dark. They honestly have so many classic kind of Trench Crusade things inside of that faction. Just fun, grim, dark, much more sort of religious overtones than Antioch. So if you're into doing that sort of side of like the gothic hobbying and things like that, Trench Pilgrims, good way to go. And again, a great starter faction because it's gonna be quite forgiving for those early games.
Yeah, you can have like 3 tough models game 1. So
Wild.
I know, right?
Next up, we've got the Iron Sultanate. It's a very cool faction. So when the portal to hell was originally opened, the Sultanate essentially established this giant wall, this kind of iron curtain.
Yes, it was the Grail creator actually that just dropped the wall.
Oh, that's right.
Like, keep out! No heretics allowed.
No heretics allowed. And it's this very like Middle Eastern influenced faction that kind of draws from. It's interesting thinking about when the portal to hell was opened, right? And we're thinking about science at the time and like the invention of gunpowder and all that stuff and the sort of like philosophies of the time. Well, over in the Middle East, they were actually far more advanced than the rest of the world. And they kind of follow this through where you have the Trench Pilgrims that are doing horrible, very not technologically advanced things to each other. The Sultanate is, yes, all about sort of these religious powers, but also about science and really kind of these mechanical things. So they have these homunculus creations that they make from flesh and alchemy and different totally normal scientific processes.
Of course.
But they have this advanced technology that kind of surpasses the other factions.
They are definitely the one kingdom that is like flourishing. Heavy quotation marks on that. Like they're probably doing the best because again they got that wall for protection and they had kind of a head start. Yeah. Or they started the race kind of ahead as far as like developments in the culture, and they also I think they have skills that are just like about like calligraphy and stuff. So like they're very like you see that represented in the lore. Like these dudes are kind of smarty pants.
They are smarty pants. They're about like it's kind of the antithesis to like the Dark Ages of the others, where it's all about kind of lost and forgotten knowledge. Yeah. And they have a giant dang wall, so that's pretty sick, right?
Helps.
This is of course reflected in the game where they have lots of bonuses they can apply through different, things like alchemical ammunition to make themselves shoot more accurately, or ways to make these super durable kind of homunculus-like creatures. The Brazen Bull, another cool centerpiece model, is Very, very hard to take down, very, very durable. And you have like the Lions of Jabir, which are like little smaller versions that like tackle people
so
and,
good,
and just kind of target them down, right?
They have like assassins.
The assassin's so cool.
Assassin. They have like dudes that can like slip through time to like take out multiple targets at once. They're just good like skirmishy, like nomad. Like if you like mobility, like if you're an Eldar player, like this might be a good faction for you if you like kind of jumping around a lot.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Nope.
They do have one sub-faction that I will call out because it's perfect if you love the hobby, where it's the House of Wisdom, and you like it's your own like create your own monster kind of. So you get to create your own golem, and there are different upgrades. You get like extra arms, extra eyes. You can increase the base size. So like you get to like make your own monster over the course of a campaign. And it's just it's very fun.
That's awesome.
If you're really into like kit bashing, like that is.
Man,
that's for you.
Yeah, that sounds so cool.
Yeah.
It's a very flexible faction. You can build it in lots of different ways. You know, you can be, as we mentioned, very shooty, very fighty, very durable, very movement based.
Yeah.
You know, you can do a mix of all these things, but it's just got lots of options. You know.
Yeah. Something that they do struggle with is armor, so keep that in mind if you're signing up for Sultanate. That's just something you're gonna have to learn to work with. It is something that I've heard that they are addressing though.
Yeah, they are aware, which is good.
You do still have tools to fight it, like you're just not like out of luck. But you're just gonna have to work a little harder. And it kind of plays into their faction, right? You know, they're like fast and flighty, you know, they're not just punching through guys.
Exactly.
Court of the Seven, we're moving on to the baddest of the bad in this world.
Seriously.
So, this is the faction I played in season 1. This is the Court of the Seven-Headed Servant. Basically, they're the demons of the setting. So this is not like corrupted humans or anything. These are just demons from hell. And basically, they have like this great war council called the Court of the Seven, where there's a seat represented for each of the 7 deadly sins.
Oh,
so
classic.
Like lust, pride, greed, etc. It is a very fractured cult. There's a lot of like treachery and conniving, as you can expect for devils.
Naturally.
People very rarely sit their seats. The exception is like the Lord of Greed, Mammon, because again, he's like funding the war effort into creation. So how they play is they're mostly demonic, like very elite armies. You're playing them in season 2.
Yes, I am.
What's your thoughts so far?
It is very elite. Oh my gosh, you don't have many models because you know they're expensive, but you have great rules, and they will reward a skilled player because there's so many tricks you can do. We mentioned those blood markers, which you know get caused by being damaged and injured and other various torturous things, and you can use those to cast spells throughout the game, which will be sort of additional abilities that you'll get. But you need to kind of manage that economy as you're playing through. So it's very easy to fall into a trap and kind of mismanage that. So I think it's harder to play, but it's very, very rewarding. You know?
Definitely not the most beginner-friendly faction. Kind of in the line with Antioch, but for different reasons. Again, kind of the mention, it's like goetic spells. Like Fluff Lives is very cool. They're like drawing from the suffering of mortals because that like fuels their powers, which makes sense because they're like very evil entities.
Yeah, exactly.
But worth noting is they don't have sub-factions. However, the warbands play very different based on which of the 7 deadly sins you dedicate your warband to.
So in a way, you have 7 sub-factions.
Exactly, yeah. So I played Lust, for example, season 1, and then you're playing Sloth.
Sloth, which is super fun.
It's pretty good.
And they play very, very differently, which is great. So, you know, amazing hobbing opportunities. Also, I think this is wide open, probably the most wide open out of all of them, because even your weapons and everything can be very abstract. Like you have the hunter, which is. The actual model has this cool like kind of flesh hood, and then her bow is like just like this fleshy bow hand kind of thing, and so it's very, very abstracted, very demonic. So you can kind of hobby to your heart's content.
You got like 7 very strong themes to play off too.
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's all there for you.
Any recommendations for someone who is starting off with them? We mentioned they are kind of hard.
As far as court?
Yeah, do you think like, is there a certain model count they should aim for? Should they just accept the beginning's difficult?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Your first game is going to be kind of rough because you're going to have very expensive models. Generally in Trench Crusade, and we'll talk about that when doing list building, you kind of want to take most of your elites. It's kind of a trap with Grail, or with court. I suggest either taking a Praetor or either taking a Sorcerer. I would not do both. Because they're going to get very expensive very fast. But yeah, you just got to accept that the first game you're not going to have a lot of equipment, and you're going to have to just rely on the raw like stats of your models to get you through the first game.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Heretic Legion, which is a faction near and dear to my heart. I played it in the first season, and it is so cool. It's so iconic.
Legion of the Worm.
The Legion of the Worm.
Narius, the
oh yeah, the Unbound.
The Unbound.
The Unbound. He's unfeathered by humanity. So, of course, when the portals to hell were opened, approximately a third of humanity knelt.
A lot of people.
To hell. I mean, look.
Fear or desperation, yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. And within that third, there are some who made the pilgrimage all the way to the very gates of hell and would sort of be elevated amongst, above everyone else. Yep. So this creates the Heretic Legion. These are the forces that are a bit more blessed. Hashtag blessed?
Yeah, they just don't get picked on every day. Like, their lives are a little bit better. Like, they get their own cubicle, maybe a side office.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good benefit, honestly.
For the most part, yeah, the Heretic Legions are a little bit more of a comfortable life, even though they're literally going to these, like, terrible front lines.
Less torture involved. Yeah. You know? Of course, if you go even farther in and actually become sort of scorched by the flames of hell itself, you come out as an anointed, which are the sort of elite warriors.
Yeah.
So these are the humans that have really joined up with hell, and they're sort of the inverse of Antioch in some regards. You have your regular troops that can be quite cheap, and then you have your more elite troops like the anointed that can have a number of different upgrades, and there's some special units that you get access to that really make the faction sing. Of course, the Artillery Witch, probably the third piece of artwork that I think of when I think of Trench Crusade, which is, of course, the witch holding the giant floating, little atomic bomb. And what she does, actually, is she has this portal literally to the munitions factories in hell, and she opens the portal, and they pass her a little bomb, and she tosses it and gets another one. Which is so cool.
It's very good in game, too. It's very devastating.
This is a strong faction, we'll say that.
I would say probably the strongest. And a lot of people say Prussia, but I have words for you. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll have words, although with the new grenades. But very, very strong sub-faction. They have cool things like the Warwolf, which is fantastic for jumping around, chasing people, tearing down armor. You have your Heretic Priest, which is the leader of your warband that can mind control people.
And creepy evil magic.
It's so cool. So it's that very much that like diesel punk, black magic, sort of the humans who have turned to the dark side kind of vibe. So it is, as we mentioned, pretty strong, pretty diverse in terms of like ways that you can play it with things like the sub-factions.
Sub-factions also very strong, like Trench Crusade, Naval Raiding Party, Knights of Avarice. I think I might play that if there's a season 3. For season 3,
Knights of Avarice. You should.
Just for models.
It's a great modeling opportunity. Oh my gosh. So yeah.
You heard it here first. Dibs. Knights of Avarice. Dibs? Season 3.
Oh,
dibs!
Man, okay,
I declare dibs!
That means I can do Sultanate. Perfect.
All right, there we go.
Excellent. So yeah, just a really cool sub-faction. And I think one of the most popular because it's really inspired a lot of people to do cool things.
For sure.
So, Heretic Legion. However, there's one more.
There is, oh no. Do I have to do this one? You saved this for me!
I did save it for you. It's so near and dear.
Cult of the Black Grail. No, this faction's fine.
You do love the faction.
I do love the faction. It was literally my first faction in the game. Like I painted it up in a week. I was so excited for it. It's basically I mentioned that there's like 7 seats in the Infernal Court for the Court of the Seven. One of the most powerful archdukes is Beelzebub. Yeah. He has the most like appropriate claim to the seat of gluttony, but he refuses it. He denies it to wage war in his own way.
That's amazing.
And how that works is basically when the gate opens and his faction is in ascension, he lets out a bunch of bees and like flies and insects, and they carry what's called the Grail plague, and they just like infect like all the wildlife and all the citizens. And if they are not dealt with appropriately, fire, they succumb and become things that are like neither living nor dead, just kind of roaming the land and spreading the Grail plague further, which is how you get this like weird zombie kind of aesthetic to it.
Yeah, very much that kind of decay, undead kind of feel, that vibe to it. Yeah. If you are more of a fantasy person than a sci-fi person, this faction kind of leads more into that old-timey feel in a lot of ways. Yeah. So it's a good kind of outlet for those hobby projects as well.
Yeah, it's totally appropriate just to have like villagers as like your like citizens as your Grail thralls, because that's who gets infected first.
Exactly.
More often than not.
As you might guess, this faction is known for its durability. It has things that make it very tough to injure, without getting too far into the rules. Yeah. There's things that are quite tough in it, supported by lots of cheap models, little zombies and things like that that are running around.
Cheapish.
That's true. Some say not cheap enough.
I would argue not cheap enough, but that's for a different podcast.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
am restraining myself very hard right now. I hope
so
you guys
proud of
can respect.
We're gonna have to do that episode soon.
I'm doing my best. But yeah, I mean, I think their playstyle is best described as you have like a single, very powerful character, the Lord of Tumors, which is often protected by like his knight, like his inner circle. So you have like the Corpse Guards, which can like take hits for him.
Sick.
You have Plague Knights, which can have their own like sort of their own like tapestries almost. I don't know, the coat of arms, which kind of gives them like different rules and how they play. And then you have beyond that just like your chaff. So like guys that can't promote, they'll never learn anything in your campaign. They're just there to like run forward and die.
Classic.
And they have infection, which is another kind of mechanic. It's kind of like blood markers, but if you start with an infection marker, you get more infections as you get like sicker and sicker. That's a pretty unique mechanic to Grail. But yeah, other than that, it's a very like character-centric, I would argue, faction that kind of plays more into the resilient. I'd say like mid-range shooting. They don't really have a lot of long-range guns. So like 12 inches is about where you're going to be getting your most effective shooting in.
Yeah, exactly. Like was mentioned, kind of has that old-timey feel. It's very much about just, you're going to go club people with your festering sores and things like that. And your plague flamethrowers.
Yes.
So
fun. Belchers.
Ew.
They belch corruption.
Yeah, you Nurgle players, this is the faction for you.
Yeah.
And then of course they are the other army that has one of the only official sub-factions, which of course is the Great Hunger, which we are playing currently in Season 2. Little Blee is playing them. Yeah. So if you're interested in Grail, check it out.
Pretty gnarly models.
So gross.
Oh, yeah.
Not for the faint of heart.
Not for the faint of heart.
Nothing in this game is really, honestly. And there you have it, 6 factions, very diverse, lots of sub-builds within them.
Yeah.
It's exciting. And there's a lot of these things that don't have models, a few of them that don't really even have art, so it's a cool opportunity for those who are creatively minded to kind of be inspired to do something that no one's ever seen before.
Absolutely.
It's a huge draw for me, honestly. Yeah. So we've talked a bit about why we might want to play the game. We've talked about the faction, the lore, the interest. Let's discuss a bit how you might go about building your first list and think about kind of the things we're thinking about.
Exciting.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, when you start a campaign, you're going to start with 700 ducats and no glory.
Yeah.
Glory is kind of an extra resource you get as you perform glorious deeds, which are unique to each mission. It might be like, oh, you're doing this cool siege. Well, you're going to get a glorious deed if you're the first to like reach the top of the ladder or whatever. So it's going to be something pertinent.
It's funny. Those sound very tame when you look at our campaigns. They're all like, do a kickflip over a crab. Like, that's cool. Like, we'll give you a glorious deed for that. Why not?
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's just like kill someone at long range or do something super heroic.
Exactly. Do something cool that's relevant to the mission, right?
Yes.
This is, it's such a fun part of like mission design.
Yeah.
It's like, and you gotta have a cool name for it, obviously.
I know. We like to have fun with those.
All puns.
All never not puns.
No, exactly. So those generate these glory, which then you can spend on these kind of higher level artifacts and things like that, right?
Yeah, mercenaries also.
Oh, and mercenaries, right, exactly. So you're starting with that. In your one-off games, you're gonna have, I believe, 800 ducats and 6 glory now. They've shrunk it. But that's kind of the basis.
I would still recommend if this is your first game of Trench Crusade, don't worry about glory. Just do a 700 ducat game. Because honestly, I think the way Trench Crusade is best played is through the campaign system, and that's how you're going to be starting out in a campaign.
Yeah, and you're going to be able to think about like, ooh, I want to get this thing, and you're not going to be kind of bombarded with a ton of new information at once, you know?
Yeah, keep it simple. Don't overwhelm yourself. Like, it's a simple rule system, but you also want to like just kind of like reinforce the rules of your models.
Exactly.
At a little bit at a time.
Yeah. So a couple of things to think about. One is this is still a war game.
Yes.
You're going to need to push buttons.
You will need to push buttons.
And what we mean by that is there's going to be objectives that you need to hold, or there's going to be actions you need to perform. And so I see a lot of people when they make their first list are so tempted to just go like full out to the gills on like super cool, tough, big warrior dudes.
Yeah, that's a trap.
And they just don't have enough models to play the game in the beginning. Yeah. So be wary of that. I don't know if you have a number you want to give on like the minimum models you should aim for in a starting game. 7. Yeah, it is, and that's tougher for some factions to do. But if you can, really try to hit that 7 threshold, you're going to have a much more interesting first game or even 2 games, depending on how things go.
7 I think is a very healthy number. It's a good balance, at least from the different factions I've played, of getting gear that is meaningful to where you can actually like reach out and like touch people, like affect models, take them off the board, but also not like hampering the number of activations you get. Because again, like tempo and order of activations is a very big part of the game. If you show up with 3 models, your opponent's just gonna like run the entire table with you. Like it's gonna be very rough. So yeah, it's models, I'd say 7, 6 maybe for court and kind of leaning heavy on equipment. But yeah.
I think that's a good point. And then there's also this distinction between your elites and your troops. Right? So tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so if you're playing a campaign system, I strongly recommend investing in elites as early as you can. I know not every faction can do it, well, court again. But the reason for that is your elites are going to be getting XP throughout the course of the campaign. And as soon as you can start getting your elites learning, the sooner they're going to level up and get stronger and learn skills and things like that. So that's why it's a good incentive to kind of take them as early as you can.
So that's something to keep in mind. There's no other restrictions as far as like you have to take this. Certain warbands, like Heretic Legion will say you have to take a Heretic Priest. But there's no like force org chart you have to worry about. So list creation is very flexible. We have mentioned how harsh Trench Crusade is. Sometimes you have an answer, you don't have an answer, right? And there's things like armor, which make it really difficult to injure someone if you don't have a way to deal with it. So one, be mindful of your opponents and the game that they're going to have. So don't go too crazy on armor where you're having like reinforced armor and a bunch of shields and everyone in the first games, things like that. But conversely, don't be naive. Bring things to deal with armor. So things that are going to give you bonuses to your injury roll, whether it is extra dice or ideally even a flat plus to your injury roll, those are going to have some nice ways to help get around armor. Gas is a good way.
Gas, fire, these are things that just ignore armor outright.
So you make sure you have at least a couple ways of dealing with armor.
2 to 3, I would say, to be on the safe spot. And then as far as like putting armor on your own guys, I would say you don't need to go... Like, don't go reinforced armor too hard, especially game 1, because it's like 40 ducats, and that's a lot of your money for -2. I'd said maybe like just do standard armor with a trench shield. If you have someone with like the tough keyword, again, that's like a get out of jail free card the first time you're killed instead you're knocked down. So you can go a little bit lighter on those guys, thinking like they're probably gonna make it through the game and be okay. And then a lot of the big centerpiece models, obviously like the Anchorite or the Desecrated Saint, they come with -3 armor to start. And I do recommend getting those models early as well if you can, because basically the way that the campaign escalates is you get like an extra 100 ducats to your maximum threshold. So if something's like 140, like an Anchorite example, and you only increase your threshold by 100, it can kind of get a little awkward, like you have to cut from your original list. So I find it's just better to start with those big models if you can, if you can swing it.
It's easier to add some more gribblies or upgrades or whatever.
Exactly,
Another thing to keep in mind is a musician is fantastic.
Yes, good point. I forgot that one, but super important.
So in the game, you can perform what is called a dash, which is going to be an extra move during your move. This lets you do a move before you charge, or just get into position easier to do whatever it might be.
Play scenario.
Like
everything.
Very essential. However, it is a risky action, which means you roll a dice, you make an action check, and if you fail it, your activation is done. Over. So it's very, very scary. A musician means if you're within 4 inches of a musician, you're going to get to have a bonus to that roll. It's going to make it much more reliable. So if you can, you should include one. You're only allowed 1 per force. They're pretty cheap. The biggest downside is it takes up a hand.
Hand slots are very important as like equipment. Guys can only carry so much. You got 2 hands for ranged weapons, 2 hands for melee weapons, but things like utility items like shields and instruments and flags, they take up a hand in your ranged and your melee. So that position's kind of locked in.
I'm curious, what's your general philosophy on where your musical instrument goes?
So either you're going to put it on a dirt cheap gribbly guy that's just going to run around, play objectives, and kind of provide that 4-inch musician bubble, or maybe you have like an elite that kind of sits in the back that can do something with their extra hand that's kind of free. It's like my Sorcerer, for example, my Lust Court Warband is great. So you can like inspire your guys and throw fireballs from the backfield. Like it's perfect.
Fireball.
Something else worth noting is that shooting can be pretty lethal in Trench Crusade.
Absolutely.
Kind of mentioned about setting up the terrain on your board. Definitely, if you can, set up a bunch of line of sight blocking, so you're not just taking people out in their deployment zones. We ideally, how we set up our boards is we put cover in the deployment zone, so at least you get like the cover penalty to shots coming in.
Kind of on the edge.
Yeah.
If you can, build your trenches to actually be deeper than standard infantry model.
Yeah.
Usually if you go like 2 inches or so, that'll be enough so that they are actually hiding you in it. And from certain angles, you'll still get the benefit of cover. We also, in a similar vein, don't really play with difficult ground.
That's a great point.
Here.
Yeah, I was thinking we should mention that as well. But I also strongly recommend it. I think the board size is shrinking a little bit. And again, you can play with 4x4, 3x3. 3x3 isn't the new mandatory we learned, but I think we kind of like it. Just
we like it.
Smaller.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Trench Crusade is only 4 turns in like most of the scenarios. So if you're spending the first 2 turns kind of getting across the board and your movement is halved, it's gonna be very rough for melee factions. And again, shooting is I think a little bit stronger than melee. Melee still has its place.
Yeah.
Scream at me if you think you're wrong, but at least that's my experience. But yeah, it's just if in like for example, the average move characteristic in Trench Crusade is 6. Like that's what a human is. So if you're only moving 3 inches,
oh my gosh,
it's brutal, right?
It's so brutal. So we generally don't play with it. We also do I always forget the name, over the top.
Yeah,
whatever it is. Basically, going up a trench doesn't cost you extra movement.
I think that's a built-in rule.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that's super helpful. But I'll just also say, range is powerful. I would always at least take some shooting even if you're not super wanting to lean hard into it.
Yeah.
And on a similar note, grenades are great. Grenades have assaults, which is important because it gives you some shooting while also being able to charge in and fight. So your units your models are able to do more than one thing at a time.
Yeah, very versatile short range unit. I like to put them on musicians also because again, that's like a ranged attack that you don't need 2 hands for. So that's some good musician build advice for you. Yeah.
you alley-oop it, granny style.
I like to think like he like has like a tuba or something. And, like he pulls the pin and just like blasts the horn and just whoop.
I love it.
It's like Trench Crusade noise marines. Before they got to the 41st millennia, this is noise warfare back in the day.
This is not the first time you brought this up. We were doing the Vuvuzuela last episode.
Yeah.
So.
I'm gonna make a model. Just you wait.
That's gonna be in the intro now.
Right. Please God, no. No one's gonna watch these.
It's so true. Look at this guy. He's talking about musical trench instruments. So we know that was a lot of information, but just kind of a big scatter shot of what the heck is this game that we love? What is it about? How do you get started in it? What are a couple things to avoid? But we're really excited for your journey into Trench Crusade, whether you are interested in it or just getting started. Of course, as always, we want to hear from you folks at home. So let us know in the comments if you have any questions. We're happy to answer them. If you have any advice, even, we'd be definitely curious to see if there's anything that's like essential that maybe we missed.
I'd love to see that. Just like what factions you're playing. What do you think is like most drawn to you and why? I always love to hear like how people settle on the factions that they settle on. It's like very different. So
exactly,
always cool to hear.
Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Again, if you did enjoy this, please leave us a comment down below with whatever you're working on. Doesn't have to be about us. We want to hear about you. Still going to help us grow the channel. So thank you so much for your time. Bryan, as always, good time chatting.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for us. We'll catch you all next time in the trenches. Bye.
Bye.